Welcome to New Orleans, where Hurricane Katrina continues to batter a storm-weary city, first ravaged by the storm, then devastated by a slow and inadequate relief effort. Military helicopters now fly over what has become a battle zone of civil unrest and frustration. Thousands of refugees are still holed up at the downtown convention center with no place to go and little food and water. The smell of neglect hangs heavy in the air. The images are heartbreaking.
No water, no air, no ice, no nothing. Can't use the restroom. It's pitiful. We need help. Somebody come give us some help. Bring us some ice. Give us some light. Give us some air. That's what we need down here.
They're hot, they're tired, they're living in deplorable conditions, and the wait just continues to go on and on and on.
But help is finally on the way. The Marines have landed. In a scene straight out of Baghdad, Iraq, heavy lift helicopters kick up sand in a field across the street from the convention center. Louisiana National Guard troops are quick to unload the water, medical supplies, and food flown in from a Marine base in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
All the Marines are excited. I know these guys are too. People were volunteering to get down here.
Once unloaded, the Marines used the same helicopters to evacuate the elderly and sick from the convention center. The rest of the refugees must wait until buses arrive to take them out. Some refugees end up here at Louis Armstrong International Airport. School buses from Ascension Parish drove the evacuees to the airport, where commercial jets will fly them to shelters in Texas.
We had water and then we didn't, so for about the past day and a half or 2 days we haven't had water, so that's when things really started getting bad.
Armstrong International is now a makeshift MASH hospital for the most critical care patients transported by ambulance out of New Orleans hospitals. Orleans Sheriff's Deputy John Taylor rode out the storm in the prison ward of Charity Hospital and spent the next 4 days among the dead and dying. Can you talk about the conditions inside the hospital?
They deteriorated quite rapidly. I don't believe they had much food because it got stuck down in the bottom basement. They wouldn't be able to bring it up as fast as the water was coming in. So, I mean, the sanitation conditions got worse. Bathroom was almost unusable.
Haggard NOPD officers are finally getting a break. Late this afternoon, truckloads of military MPs from Texas arrived in New Orleans and will soon be taking up positions in and around the city.
On the field, it looks like a fall Friday night at any other high school in the country. But a deep spiral away from the action, the scenery isn't so common.
Been something that I've never gone through before, and hope that I have to never go through it again.
At Slidell High School, reminders of Hurricane Katrina are everywhere, including a gym so badly damaged it was condemned. So on the last day of September, Slidell and Mandeville are playing their first regular season game.
It's something else, you know, to see that all the tragedy that we had, and then still everybody come together at a game.
Katrina didn't just wipe out the first month of the season, it swiped plenty of players in the process.
I've had phone calls from kids, you know, saying, Coach, you know, I want to come back, but my dad doesn't have a job. You know, he lost his job in New Orleans, so we're going to stay here in Atlanta. We're staying here in Jackson, Mississippi.
During the past month, nearly all of these players have pondered questions like, do I have a school to attend? Or even, do I have a home to live in? So it's not surprising that they're all looking for something familiar in these most unfamiliar times.
Let's leave the worrying to the parents. You know, let's let the parents worry about FEMA and Red Cross and when we're going to get a roof on the house. You know, let the kids be a kid.
On this night, if the kids are worrying, they're not showing it, and they're trying to do their part to lift the spirits of a downtrodden community.
I've even talked to some of the workers, and I said, if you ever need something to do, and you know, we're playing every Friday night at 7. Just come out, just trying to get away from all the devastation.
Some members of the Coast Guard took him up on his offer. This crew, based out of Charleston, South Carolina, has spent a week fixing up Slidell High.
It's definitely nice to get up here and help out and try to do something. I mean, even though we're only here for a week, but it was better than not making it at all.
It may be a fractional step, but Ritual has returned to Slidell, if only for 4 quarters.
That is entire homes that were swept off, or piers, or people's belongings, refrigerators. What you'll find under it, God only knows.
At the water's edge along much of St. Tammany Parish, there are fields of debris, some stretching for miles.
You know, we don't know yet, to be quite honest with you, exactly what's going to be found in these debris fields, because some of them are massive.
Sheriff Jack Strain has led teams through many of those fields looking for Hurricane Katrina victims.
There's some rather large and deep debris fields out in Fritchie Marsh that we had several hits on from our cadaver dogs.
Although the dogs smelled human remains, deputies found no bodies. Strain says they didn't have the equipment they needed and eventually stopped looking.
How many may be down there? I don't know that we'll ever know, Yonji. I really don't.
Many of the debris fields are now spreading and sinking.
And if this is not cleaned up, someone's going to get hurt badly.
Debris fields just like this one are clogging waterways throughout St. Tammany Parish, and Sheriff Strain says if they're not cleared soon, he worries there could be major flooding when the rains come.
A lot of the debris fields are clogging up the Pearl River. If those debris fields are not cleaned out, then the natural flow of the Pearl could actually change.
Strain says that's already happening, and parts of the marsh are starting to look more like the Gulf.
If it rains a great deal in Washington Parish and north, then those waters will funnel into the Pearl River and ultimately back up in this region and start flooding homes in these low-lying communities.
Strain says it's up to the Army Corps of Engineers to clear those fields, though he hasn't heard if or when they plan to do that. But the longer they wait, he says, the grimmer the recovery will be.
As time passes, there may be the fisherman who comes across the remains, human remains, the shrimper, the crabber, or what have you. I mean, there are a lot of untold stories yet, and that's one that we'll have to deal with in the future.
Our house was totaled. We don't even have a thing left. And we're out here because we love New Orleans and it's time to bring it back.
Yeah, it's great to be dancing in the streets in New Orleans again. Thank goodness we got a bit of music back. We're only a little bit of the way there, but we got some music back and we're in the street again.
Well, you know, we haven't been able to do it for a while, and just to be back, I knew it had to happen. It was just a matter of when.
I'm Cal FEMA. I'm all tied up in red tape. And you know, FEMA's a new dirty 4-letter word. Woo!
This is New Orleans' natural habitat right here. Out in the sunshine, meeting strangers, meeting loved ones, drinking, wearing silly costumes, being generous to people. That's New Orleans. Not back at home scrubbing your damn floors that are so moldy.
We gotta get it all cleaned up here. We're cleaning it up now. One hurricane can't bring us down. 2 hurricanes can't bring us down. It ain't the first time, won't be the last time. Rebuild New Orleans now.
It gives you a warm feeling inside to know that people are pulling together and bringing this thing back to life.
It's over. It's over. That means Katrina is dead, buried. Come on back where you belong, people. Right here in New Orleans.
Wilbert Wilson is a man who's trying to bring back his business, his neighborhood, and his city, one haircut at a time.
The storm might have came and knocked the city out, but it didn't knock me out. I still hold the torch for barbers.
When the flood wiped out Wilson's barbershop, he filled out all the government paperwork to try to get help, but when weeks went by without any, he decided he couldn't wait any longer. He bought his own generator, got some new clippers, and set up shop in an abandoned parking lot on Claiborne Avenue.
I just think that is a nice thing, you know, for me to be able to just stand out here and motivate others, you know, to come home and let them see what they can do for this business-wise. If the old way is not working, try something new.
You'll see him out here just about every day of the week, making more friends than money. He doesn't charge for a haircut, he gets by on tips, taking home maybe $40 or $50 a day when he used to make $300 or $400. This is where Chill's barbershop used to be, around the corner from Claiborne Avenue on South Derby. Chill says what the flood didn't wash away, his landlord threw away, and he won't be coming back. The only thing he saved from the trash pile was some pieces of art that hung on the walls. He'd like to have a new shop, but without some kind of help, he doesn't know how that will happen. Yet even though the sign says SOS, he says it stands for Save Ourselves.
Either you're going to let trouble run you out of Dodge, or you're going to stay in Dodge and try to fix it.
While many of his peers were shopping, Stephen Jobert spent his Black Friday hauling sheetrock.
New Orleans is in a time of need, and I thought yesterday was my time of relaxation. Today I needed to help people out.
Today, Jobert's Christian youth group, St. Matthew's CYO, swept, hammered, and gutted this mid-city house. The teenagers are from River Ridge. Most of their homes were not affected by Katrina.
Where my house is, we really did luck out. I mean, there was some wind damage, but nothing like this. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine losing everything. And just to kind of be able to see this and help these people restart.
They are restarting a home for Boys Hope, Girls Hope, a local nonprofit that gives at-risk youth a safe home and pays for education through college.
Some of the families have either, lost family members. Sometimes it's extreme poverty. Sometimes it's a single mother that doesn't have the means.
Corey Howitt runs the program. This flooded home housed 7 girls before the storm. They've been back just once to salvage a few belongings and are now living in Baton Rouge. You can just look around and see all these lives interrupted.
Yeah, it's really, but they've been so resilient. They've bounced back almost better than the adults have.
The kids who live in this house attend Dominican and Jesuit high school. Those schools will reopen in January, but the house won't be ready. So Howitt has this FEMA trailer in place, and he's already looking for a new house.
That we're just kind of waiting to see if there's some house large enough that we can move in temporarily while we make decisions about where they will live.
Despite the challenges, they will live in New Orleans.
There's just a pride in the city, and there's a pride in our kids in this city. We might have to change some things and live 10 feet higher than we did before, but we're going to go back to our city.
With that homecoming in mind, Stephen Jobert says he's glad to pass up the mall and get to work.
They're out of their comfort zone in their home, and I know I'm in my home and I'm happy, so I just want them to be happy too.
For Jim Lewis and Conway Horn, there's never a dull day at the office.
Everything's new, everything's different, so and part of the fun is coming up with different themes.
The two work out of an artist studio in the French Quarter, making one-of-a-kind masks.
This one's called From the Watery Ashes. We name all the masks. They're all one of a kind. We never make the same mask twice. So each one of them has their own name, so it kind of gives them their own individuality.
For 2 months after Katrina, no masks were made. The men lost their Chalmette home and much of their livelihood with it.
All of our supplies, all of our material, our feathers, rhinestones and everything was at the house.
They applied for a loan through the Small Business Administration, but after 3 months, they are still waiting.
Right now, we don't have a buffer. If we go a week without sales, we go back to eating MREs.
If you don't get the loan, can you still survive?
I don't know if I can answer that question. I mean, I hope we can, I guess.
SBA is processing the loans as fast as possible. We have quadrupled in size. We've quadrupled our number of staff available to process these loans.
SBA spokesperson Ben Raju says the agency has given out over 7,000 loans in Louisiana, but over 19,000 Louisianians are still waiting, and Raju says he doesn't know for how long.
There's not an average wait time. We just don't know how long it's going to take in order to process the applications. If an individual is concerned about their particular application, by all means, call our 1-800 number.
You get a different answer every time you talk to somebody. I mean, I've honestly been told that my application's in process and I need to be patient every time I've called.
Horn and Lewis are trying to make it with or without the SBA's help. They open the shop every morning and often work until long past the city's curfew, hoping they can stay in business long enough to be able to name a mask for the carnival season.
I tell him every day, if we can make it through Mardi Gras, we will probably make it.